something unbelievable just went down in Baltimore. Just when it seemed like things were finally clicking, Todd Monken managed to turn a moment of relief into one of the season's biggest fiascos. The Ravens' offense was flying. Derrick Henry was dominating, and the team had the perfect chance to head into halftime with the lead. But one ridiculous call ruined it all and reignited the pressure that's been building on the offensive coordinator. What happened at the goal line was so confusing, so illogical, that nobody could figure out what Monken was thinking. And the worst part? That decision could have changed not just the outcome of this game, but the trajectory of the entire Ravens season. From that moment on, doubt crept back in. Does Todd Monken even have control of this offense anymore? You know that moment when everything is going right, and suddenly someone decides to complicate the simple? That's exactly what happened here. The Ravens' offense had finally found a rhythm, and Derrick Henry was unstoppable. 90 yards in the first half alone, running like a tank and controlling the clock. It was a dream scenario for any coordinator. A dominant runner, a tired defense, and the ball just a yard from the end zone. Everything pointed to a near-certain touchdown. But then Monken decided to get creative. Instead of letting Henry do what he does best, power the ball up the middle and punch in that final yard, the coordinator called 2 straight tush-push plays with Mark Andrews. Yes, the tight and try and shove the line like a quarterback. Both attempts failed completely, and the whole stadium collectively held its breath, confused about what was going on. When they finally gave Henry the ball on 4th down, the damage was done. The Rams' defense, already anticipating play, blew it up before it even started. What could have been a confidence-boosting moment? Baltimore going to halftime with a lead and momentum turned into pure frustration. A perfect drive ended with 0 points, and the mood in the locker room shifted instantly. The problem is, this kind of mistake isn't a one-off. Monken has been repeating the same pattern all season, abandoning what's working to try to prove he's the smartest guy in the room. And the result is almost always the same: wasted drives, shaken confidence, and a team that seems lost right when it needs stability the most. That goal line play wasn't just a bad decision. It was a snapshot of what's been happening with the Ravens' offense in 2025. A team loaded with talent, yet trapped by confusing choices at the most critical moments. And the worst part? These mistakes go beyond the scoreboard. They start to chip away at Baltimore's offensive identity, which leads us straight into the heart of the offense's crisis. The Ravens' offense seemed like it had finally found its path. Derrick Henry was dominating the trenches. The offensive line was opening holes, and it looked like Monken's plan was finally working. But just a small moment of success, and he changed everything again. Instead of sticking with what was working, Monken did what he's become known for: trying to be smarter than necessary. And that habit has come at a steep cost. What played out on the field was an offense without identity. A team that starts a game running strong, commanding respect, but quickly abandons a physical style that's always defined Baltimore. Henry, poised for a dominant night, vanished in the most important plays. It's like Monken is afraid of being predictable. And in the process, he takes the offense out of its own rhythm. These kinds of decisions destabilize everything. When a coordinator doesn't trust what's working, the players feel it. The rhythm disappears. The team starts questioning the calls, and confidence, a fundamental part of any offense, vanishes. Baltimore, long known for imposing its will on the ground, now seems uncertain about who it really is. Trying to be creative, modern, and unpredictable, but ending up inconsistent. And this lack of direction is costing wins. The talent is there. Lamar Jackson, Henry Andrews, Flowers, but without a clear identity, the offense becomes a jumbled puzzle. Plays look good individually, but don't connect. They don't tell a story within the game. Monken keeps trying to reinvent the wheel, and the team pays a price every time he strays from the basics. And this offensive confusion doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a reflection of a bigger problem. A season where the entire coaching staff seems to have lost control of what makes the team function, and that's where the pressure on everyone inside the Ravens building starts to build. In Baltimore, patience is running thin. Fans aren't just frustrated with a stalled offense. They see a team that's completely disorganized. John Harbaugh, Todd Monken, Zach, or nobody escapes criticism. It feels like every game brings a new collapse, a new baffling decision that shifts the course of the matchup. And the worst part? It's become routine. Monken is just the most visible face of a collective problem. Confusing play calls, lack of second-half adjustments, and the inability to turn strong individual performances into wins show that something is deeply wrong with how the team is being run. Baltimore, a franchise proud of its discipline and culture, seems to have lost its own identity. Players feel it. When leadership fails, the locker room starts to crumble. Players look at each other, unsure who's going to step up, and frustrations spill onto the field. The offense and defense seem disconnected, almost playing in different worlds. And when the decisive moment comes, a fourth down, a final drive, a golden opportunity, something is always missing. This technical strain is costing a heavy price. Baltimore still has enough talent to compete, but the team feels frozen inside, paralyzed by its own poor decisions. Monken has become the symbol of this stubbornness, someone trying to show brilliance instead of efficiency. And when the leadership fails from the top down, the collapse is inevitable. The clearest reflection of this problem shows up where the Ravens used to be nearly unbeatable. In the red zone, the place where talent meets execution, and this year it's all fallen apart.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
In past seasons, the Ravens were almost automatic inside the 5-yard line. Get close to the end zone, and the result was predictable: power, consistency, touchdown. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Lamar, the offense always found a way. But this year, that power has vanished. What was once a fortress is now a zone of frustration. The fall started with Todd Monken's decisions. Try and make the offense more versatile. He took the focus away from what made Baltimore deadly: a physical, straightforward, dominant ground game. Instead of trusting the offensive line and Henry's power, Monken insists on gimmicks, short passes, and risky calls that rarely work. Every time the team gets near the end zone, tension rises, not from the thrill of an imminent touchdown, but from the fear of another poorly called play. The numbers don't lie. Baltimore is one of the league's worst teams in red zone efficiency, unthinkable for a team that built its identity in that space. The offense not only fails to score, but also loses confidence in itself. And that affects the whole team. When a unit that should be reliable starts to falter, the defense feels the weight, morale plummets, and the game can completely shift. Frustration is even higher because the solution seems obvious. The team has Derrick Henry, one of the NFL's most feared runners, yet he's ignored in the most crucial plays. Monken tries to be creative, but the result is predictable: wasted drives and points slipping through their fingers. And the impact goes far beyond stats. In a season already hanging by a thread, mistakes in the red zone, the space where the Ravens used to excel, have become the symbol of a team that lost its winning instinct. And that loss hits hardest in games where the result can define the season's future. The matchup against the Rams was more than just another game on the schedule. It was a moment to prove there's still life in this season. The defense held strong, limiting Los Angeles' attack and keeping the score manageable. Derrick Henry was dominating, and it looked like Baltimore finally found balance. But one poor sequence of decisions brought it all crashing down. Monken had the chance to turn that drive at the end of the second quarter into a turning point, a moment of confidence and restart. Instead, the goal line error became the season symbol. Wasted potential, failed execution, and inexplicable choices in critical moments. The team left the field frustrated beyond the scoreboard. These small, wrong choices carry enormous weight in a season already on the edge. Every lost point counts, and every execution mistake can cost a playoff dream. Baltimore isn't losing from lack of talent. It's losing from lack of direction. The offense can't find its essence, and the coaching staff seems stuck in stubbornness that blocks real progress. What seemed like a single problem has now become a full-blown crisis. The locker room is restless, the fans are losing patience, and the pressure on Monken has never been higher. What he does in the coming weeks could determine the future not just of the offense, but the entire season. And maybe that's the biggest turning point. Either Monken goes back to basics, trusts Henry, and restores identity to the offense, or the Ravens watch the last of their hopes slip away. In the end, what happened against the Rams was more than a play-calling mistake. It was a clear snapshot of everything wrong with the Ravens' offense in 2025. A team with more than enough talent, yet seemingly lost in its own decisions. Todd Monken had the chance to ease pressure, show growth, and rebuild confidence. Instead, he reignited every doubt and added more fire to his own hot seat. Now, what comes next is crucial. The defense is finally starting to respond. Henry is proving he can still carry the team, but none of that matters if the offensive command keeps sabotaging its own chances. Will Monken be able to regain the locker room and restore identity to the offense? Or was this the last straw that could change everything in Baltimore? One thing is certain. After this game, the heat on Todd Monken has never been hotter.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.